and you can do it professionally.
Why don't you get into the collaboration process with Beanie?
Beanie? Well, that was a little longer. Actually, Beanie started out because Dennis Lamberson, who was still at Central Lakes College, had to do a makeup class, and he wanted to work with prosthetics. That's a word I usually can't say, right? And discussion amongst his colleagues was, well, let's do a play with witches. And my friend Bob May decided, okay, I'm going to write a play about witches. So he started writing a play, and then eventually I got involved, and we get things back and forth. Different characters. For instance, Dorothy. I ruled out Ruby Slippers because I said, well, let's stay to the books. Let's stay away from the movies. Because later on, we did get a nasty letter from MGM/Ted Turner saying, if you use those red slippers, we'll sue you. And we said, no, we didn't use them. Thank you. We used the silver ones, like it says in the book. That was kind of heady. We talked about, Bob didn't know the endings of Snow White. So actually dug up an old copy, original copy of Snow White and gave it to him. He said, oh my God, she dances to herself to death at the end. I said, yeah, these are rather more hard-hitting than the Disneyized version. Yes, Walt Disney, thank you. So there was a lot of give and take. We basically were thinking about, bulk of it we went about 3 days, and about another 2 weeks or so, if I remember right, we picked at it, did whatever. Some we changed in the rehearsal process, and that's because Bob had acted on Broadway and done other things. So that was his big, I think, with Martha Ray, that sort of thing. So he was very professional with that. I think he's done like over 265 productions of his own, And then I would come at it from a writing standpoint. We need this to keep the action going. We need this to clarify something. We have to introduce these dancing shoes at a point which makes sense. So when the queen gets them and dances off to oblivion, it doesn't seem like it was Deus Ex Machina, something like that. And then we had Chris Tibbetts involved, who was an actor, and he would play Beanie, so he gave us some ideas on how to do Beanie and move that thing around. And then we did the show, we bust kids in, it was great, and I made the joke, hey, let's send this to Samuel French. We'll get a nice rejection letter, we'll put it on the wall, that'll be that. They responded within about 2 weeks or something like that, so they'd take it.
Which is unheard of.
Yeah, Samuel French is the Paramount Pictures of the.
We waited 2 years.
2.5.
2.5 years to find out if they were going to accept Two Wives and a Dead Guy from Samuel French.
Yeah, that's kind of a bureaucratic thing. But usually you find out in 6 months, you get your nice little rejection letter, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And I decided, well, I don't think I'll be writing short stories anymore. I think I might start writing plays.
Because now we knew with Two Wives and a Dead Guy, we knew that because they'd also published Beanie, that it goes through this whole submission process when it goes to Samuel French. We knew it had jumped because Roy's an already established author with them. It had jumped up to, and it was sitting on the desk of the president.
You just signed the contracts
for quite a while.
The process is this. Usually the play comes in. They have some interns who figure, did you follow the formatting right? There's a return envelope. And then those get tossed. And then it goes to some other people, and they get tossed in there. Then eventually it gets to these other interns, associate editors, whatnot, and they all read it and give you a little 2-paragraph critique. And then if there's enough people who thought it was interesting, then it goes to possibly another editor. They figure it from there. And then it goes to the vice president, who's their editor-in-chief, and then he makes the final decision whether or not it's okay to send to the publisher, and then he can sign it. But you've got to go through all these different hoops in order to get there. And the biggest major hoop is, were you produced? And if so, produced where? Because sometimes it has to be a New York City production. It can't be elsewhere. Some other publishers, you have to have 3 productions in 3 different venues by 3 different directors that were not the playwright.
But usually when Roy does collaborations, he gets usually somebody comes to him with the story and says, I can't make this work.
Yeah.
Or
I'm like the Japan. The Germans develop it, they give it to the Japanese to refine it. Yes.
Yeah, can you fix it? And usually what Roy ends up doing is making it a hell of a lot longer. Unlike, most authors, when it's a story, it's just the opposite. They have to condense it. They have to be more sparse with their writing.
Yeah, I'm not Hemingway.
But
I like animals.
playwriting, you do have to be sparse with your writing, but it has to be much longer.
Yeah, because it's a visual. We're working with a visual medium here. And if you do not get visually, you can't flip back on the pages and catch up again.
That was my problem with Two Wise and a Dead Guy. I had everything visually. Well, they'll know, in order to do this, you have to do that. And Roy says, no, you better have them say it.
We have to see them kick the casket, say whatever it is they say, and storm off.
Yeah, they have to actually physically do it or say it, because, if somebody was off looking at their grandma and said, what'd you say?
Gee, did I, what time is it?
Yeah, they're going to...
Did I iron the cat today?
That.
Or whatever they come up with.
They're going to miss that.
Yeah.
So that's what Roy's really good at.
Yeah. I'm very good at making you not think. So when you see the play, you just watch the play, not anything else. At least what I try to do.
Well, it goes back to that at different levels.
Yeah. And there's actually tricks that I do with that. Sometimes it's just how the words are put down, because I know the actor has to take a breath there. And as I take that breath, I have to move from there to there. So what's the easiest way to say that line as I try to get them to move? There's little nuances that sometimes I put in there, just because I'm trying to anticipate that.
Yeah, that's what I found out with the elevators is that without being my first directing piece, I had to. You're not only dealing with dialogue, but time and space. It takes so long for them to get from here to there. They've got to say the line. If it's 2 words, how are they going to do that? Get from here to here, say 2 words? Is it just empty space while they walk across the stage?
Do you walk a straight line, or do you do an S curve?
So. Oh, I had all that mapped out.